I'm a sculptor and I love being a sculptor. I made this piece this spring. In winter, I work with wood. In summer, I work with stone because I can be outside. I was so happy with this piece because I found it about 30 feet up a tree, a beech tree, was dead. It had been struck by lightning, but continued to grow because it continued to heal the wound of the lightning and turned inward. It rippled up. It's just beautiful, almost sexual, sensual, skin-like surface. I made the opposition throughout. Here is the skin, the original bark, and I'm desperately trying to keep it on, that it does not come off. So there's some glue parts to make sure that opposition remains. Beech has a nice skin. That's where all the people write their names in it because it stretches without having all the grooves on it. My idea about preservation, you can hardly escape it nowadays with the fires and the hurricanes and the floods. The awareness of nature around it. I mean, I see everything, and it registers into visual possibilities that I can make for sculpture. Nature feeds me. But my considerations here as far as art is concerned, again, the oppositions, I wanted this almost screaming. This blue-green can be reflective of the sky. It can also be reflective of the grass or the water. The other part I chiseled out. It's a lot of chiseling. And I burned it in order to, again, have the opposition of dead and alive, hope and the end of things. I had found these, I don't know, claws, metal claws of some big machinery years ago, probably 30, 40 years ago. I had them in the garden and liked the different patinas happening on it. They are just perfect for this. They make the interior precious, they make the exterior man's interaction with nature cruel, rough, raw, insensitive, destructive interaction. And yet, if you look close, even the aging or corrosion of metal is beautiful in itself. It takes on a life, being outside in the garden, takes on a life of itself. Again, I wanted to keep the two halves apart and yet together. I wanted the embrace of man and really the torturing of man. This reminded me too of medieval chastity. And this force from the outside, subjugating the beauty of nature and torturing it for their or its demand. That was the main thing. In this space, I wish it could be a little bit higher so you could almost deal with it on a person-to-person basis instead of looking down. So I like being able to see through. It is connected, it's not connected. I had to separate it because you try to carve it inside without having the two pieces. It's difficult enough this way to carve it, but it adds to the total piece. I'm happy with it, and I'm happy that it is large, that it's more powerful. The piece upstairs is from the same tree. Another section, I made 5 pieces from that tree trunk. Again, I have a friend who takes the dead tree down and digs it out of the takes it out of the woods, drives it down. So I'm happy to have somebody who is physical and loves nature. I wanted to shock it because it is shocking to see the beauty of nature, the tactility of nature, the undulation of nature in opposition to the force of man. It is for me like a rape. We are taking things for granted without consideration of what it is by itself and for itself. So it's a drastic name to use those words, but I hope it gets that message across. There are 5 pieces in the series of the same tree trunk that I cut into sections so I can carve it better. And I think one has to see the back first because that intrigued me first after I took the bulk off. It's such a soft, tactile, colourful surface that is hidden under the bulk. Not too many buds in here. That's good. So when I it's self-supporting, I like that too, because there was a branch coming out, and I like the openness that goes through. So after falling in love with the outside, I wanted to do something dramatic with the inside, and not just to echo the tactility or the smoothness or the seductive quality that the wood has. And I painted it black. As I shocked even my son who was around and said, "Why did you do that? It was such a nice wood." Then I painted the borders white. So it became almost a skeleton. Then the relationship of life and death. I called it remains because not only is it what remained from the tree trunk, but what remains after man has interacted with nature. It is then skeletal. It is crude. It is, in a way, dramatic. I think it is very dramatic because the chiseling still adds texture and variation of light, but the white edge, I think, brings it all together, both as art and also as an object to think about, the interior, the exterior, man and nature, life and death. And yes, they are one part of the opposite part of a coin, or the opposites of life and death. It's a reality, but I hope we can be aware and more sensitive to